There's nothing more painful than having to beg for love from the very person who hurt you. But what satisfies a narcissist the most isn't the love you give them, it's the moment you lower yourself, begging for a response, for a little attention, even just a glance. They want you on your knees. They want your tears. They want you to feel worthless. But there's one thing they're never prepared to face: the moment you stop begging. If you've ever been in a relationship where love turned into a battlefield and silence became a weapon, this video will speak directly to your soul. Not to stir hatred, but to help you remember who you are and what you truly deserve. Watch until the end of the video, because that's where you'll not only uncover the truth about them, but also experience an awakening within yourself. And if you know you're worth more than this, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join us on this journey to emotional freedom where you never have to beg for love again. Have you noticed? The one who hurt you is often the same one waiting for you to reach out first. They don't apologize. They don't explain. They just go silent and sit there, waiting for you to break the silence. Because in the world of a narcissist, making the first move doesn't mean love, it means power. And if you're the one who initiates contact after an argument, a rupture, or during the silent treatment, they feel like they've won. Many people say, "I don't understand why they stay silent for so long, and then when I finally message them, they respond coldly or even turn it around and blame me." That's no accident. That's a strategy, a calculated form of emotional manipulation. Narcissists want you to be the one who reaches out, because that confirms in their mind that they still have control over you. Every message you send, every time you say we need to talk, is proof to them that they still affect you, that they still occupy space in your mind. And for them, that's like oxygen to someone who's emotionally suffocating. They need that supply to survive. In a healthy relationship, when conflict arises, both people make an effort to reconnect, to talk things through, to apologize when needed. But in a relationship with a narcissist, they will never be the first to approach unless it serves a hidden agenda. They retreat, go silent and wait, because they know your insecurity will eventually drive you to break the silence. And the moment you do, they now have more evidence to twist. See? Even after everything, they still came back. The longer the silence drags on, the more they enjoy testing your limits. They want to see how long you'll hold out. They want to measure the depth of your emotional dependence. And when you can't take the void any longer, they resume the cycle. Silence, you reach out, cold response, hurt you again. Why do they do this? Because when you reach out first, you unconsciously confirm that you need them more than they need you. And to a narcissist, that's power. That's superiority. They feed off that feeling. But here's the truth. You can break this cycle. You can stop right here, right now. By refusing to respond. By not messaging first. By not being the one to end the silence. By choosing your silence as a declaration, not as a cry for help. Because the truth is, if you're always the one trying to save the relationship, if you're always the one who has to reach out first, then maybe what you're in is no longer a relationship, but a system of emotional control. And you deserve better than that. To a narcissist, your return is never just a reunion, it's a victory. A victory not built on love, forgiveness, or healing, but on an inflated ego and the validation that they are above you. When you're the one who reaches out, comes back, or even simply replies after a period of silence, they don't see it as a chance to make things right. They don't think, "She still cares, I should appreciate her." No, what they think is, "I knew it. She can't live without me. I still hold immense value in her eyes." That is the toxic satisfaction a narcissist constantly seeks. Not closeness, not sincerity, but the feeling of being worshipped, admired, validated, no matter what they've done wrong. They might tell their friends, their new partner, even their family, "See? I told you. She came back. She knows how special I am. I'm irreplaceable." They use your return as living proof that they were never really wrong, that they're still desirable, that every mistake must be your fault because you were too sensitive, too emotional, or just didn't understand their supposed greatness. And once they have that feeling that you need them, that you can't truly escape, they become even more dangerous. Because what comes next? They start pushing the boundaries further. They test how much more you can tolerate. They tighten their grip, become colder, more detached, because in their mind, you're the one who came back after everything. You're the one who forgets the past, forgives easily. And if you did it once, they believe you'll do it again, and again, and again. Their ego, always desperate for nourishment, is fed by your softness. They won't thank you for coming back. They won't take accountability. They won't cherish the second chance. Instead, they'll remember, I can ignore her for a week and she'll still message me. I can say the worst things and she'll still return. I can cheat and she'll still forgive me. And the saddest part, a part of you may start to believe, maybe I should be more forgiving. Maybe he just needs more love. Maybe this time will be different. But no, this time is not different, and they know that. Your return, no matter how sincere or full of love, is seen by them as just one more point on the scoreboard. One more justification to hurt you again without fear of losing you. And there's more, they love to tell the story their way. They won't say you were hurt but strong enough to forgive. They won't mention the nights you cried, the anxiety, the confusion. They'll simply say, I'm the chosen one. I'm always the one she comes back to. That's why, with a narcissist, the more you return, the more detached from reality they become. They no longer see you as a person with emotions, limits, and self-worth. They see you as a mirror reflecting their ever-growing ego back at them. They want you to come back not because they love you, but because they need you to confirm that they are still worthy of admiration. And if you return enough times, you'll start to feel yourself disappearing. Disappearing from your own boundaries. Disappearing from your own values. Disappearing from yourself. And by the time you realize it, you may already be exhausted. And this is the core truth. Reaching out first isn't just an action, it's a message. A message that they still occupy space in your mind. An unconscious signal that they still hold emotional power over you. And that's why they always wait for you to speak first. But what happens when, this time, you're no longer the one to initiate? When you choose silence. When you don't react, don't reach out, don't check in the way you used to. It's in that moment that the true psychology of a narcissist starts to unravel, and it's also the moment when you begin to reclaim power in this emotional game. So now, let's move into the next part where we uncover what really goes on inside a narcissist's mind when you stop reaching out, and why that silence shakes them more deeply than anything you could ever say. Do you know what really happens inside a narcissist's mind when you're no longer the one reaching out first? They don't calmly sit there thinking, oh, maybe they're just busy. No, they become unsettled. They panic. But they'll never let you see it. Because to them, your silence isn't just quiet, it's an attack on the carefully crafted illusion of their ego. In their world, you don't get to sever the connection first. You don't get to leave first. And most of all, you are not allowed to look okay without them. Why are they so afraid of that? Because your act of reaching out has always been the emotional fuel they rely on to keep their inflated sense of self alive. If you don't message them, don't check in, don't bite the bait after their silence or intentional confusion, they begin to feel like they're disappearing from your mind. And for a narcissist, that's the most terrifying collapse of all. They start imagining things. Have you already forgotten them? Are you talking to someone else? Are you actually doing fine without them? Your lack of response activates their deepest fear. Being replaced, being forgotten, and no longer being the center of someone's world. That's why the more silent you are, the more busy they become. They check your social media. They ask mutual friends what you're up to. They may even set emotional traps to bait you into messaging them, posting ambiguous photos, bringing up old memories, or casually mentioning you in indirect ways. All just to test, do you still care? And when you don't respond? No, they're not peacefully moving on like they pretend to. Inside, they're spiraling, battling an ego that's no longer being fed. So here's what you need to understand. A narcissist doesn't need you to love them. They need you to react to them. Whether it's love, anger, heartbreak, or tears, any emotional energy is still emotional supply. But when you go quiet, when you don't react, you make them invisible. And that is why they so desperately want you to be the one who reaches out first. They're not looking for true reconciliation. They haven't changed. They're simply measuring how much power they still have over your emotions. But here's the good news. Every day you don't message them, every time you don't fall for the game, you reclaim emotional sovereignty. And that means you're no longer a pawn in their game. You're the one stepping off the board with your head held high. When every other tactic stops working, the narcissist reaches for their ultimate weapon, the illusion of change. You didn't react. You didn't reply. You upheld your boundaries. And you truly scared them. But you also made them more dangerous than ever. Because now they no longer play the role of the superior one. They switch roles and take on the mask of the awakened one. A performance that is incredibly convincing. Tearful, moving, so much so that if even a part of you still cares, you might find yourself thinking, maybe this time it's real. And that, right there, is the beginning of a brand new trap. You may hear them say the very things you once longed for. I was wrong. I've started therapy. You're the only person who ever made me want to change. I can't live without you. They might send you long, emotional messages about how they've woken up. They may even share staged photos from fake therapy sessions, quote healing books, or talk about a near-death experience that changed everything. And if you once loved them deeply, those words might cut straight to the heart. There may be a moment when you think, isn't this what I've been waiting for? Maybe this time will truly be different. Maybe I'm standing at a turning point most people never get. But here's what you must understand. Someone who has truly changed doesn't try to convince you, they let their actions speak. And they don't use their so-called transformation as bait to pull you back in. Narcissists are different. They don't change because they feel remorse. They change because you're slipping out of their control. They don't want you to be happy, they just can't bear the thought that you might be happy without them. This illusion of change is a final gamble. If it works, they'll reel you back in not to love you, but to punish you for daring to leave. At first, they may be everything you ever dreamed of. Sweet. Gentle. Attentive. You'll see a new version of them for the first few weeks. They'll cook for you, text you loving messages every morning, listen more, even cry when speaking about the past. But the truth is, this isn't a new person, it's just a new mask. And soon enough, that mask will fall. They'll revert to their old controlling behaviors. They'll punish you for walking away. They'll make you feel guilty for believing you could live without them. And this time, the wound may cut deeper because you gave them one more chance. You'll blame yourself. You'll feel weak. You'll lose faith in your own intuition. So be cautious with promises of change. Real change takes time, consistent action, and deep personal accountability. Narcissists can't do that because they don't change to become better. They change only to regain control. And if you're strong enough not to be pulled back in, you will have done something few people ever manage to do. You break the cycle. You walk away not because they let you go, but because you stopped reaching for them. So what happens when you make it through even this final illusion of change? When you move forward without anger, without revenge, but simply by letting go. Silence may sadden an ordinary person, but for a narcissist, true silence is complete collapse. Not the kind of silence that waits for a response. Not the kind of silence meant to test someone's heart. But complete silence, the kind that comes from genuine letting go. A silence with no expectations. A silence from someone who no longer feels, not out of anger, not out of love, but because they've already given everything. To a narcissist, the moment you no longer think about them, no longer mention their name, no longer react to anything they do, is the moment they experience total defeat. Because their entire identity, their ego, which survives on external validation, begins to unravel. You might think they've moved on, found someone new, or are living a different life. But don't be fooled by appearances. Deep down, they're grappling with questions they never had to face while you were still around. Why isn't she reacting? Why isn't she jealous? Why isn't she texting? Why isn't she freaking out like before? Has she really forgotten me? How can she live so peacefully without me? That feeling, being completely forgotten, erased from your life as if they never existed to them, feels like a psychological death. Because they can't explain it away using their usual logic. They can't blame you. They can't claim you still care. You're no longer there. Not playing the reactive role. Not the rescuer. Not the emotionally weak person they used to manipulate. And that is what sends them into panic. When you go truly silent, they begin to lose their own script. They no longer know which role to play. They run out of tactics. They try reaching out, you don't reply. They post cryptic statuses, you don't care. They flaunt a new partner, and you don't even flinch. Then the emptiness inside them, once covered by your attention, rises to the surface, raw and undeniable. They feel small. They feel invisible. They feel powerless. Here's what narcissists don't want you to know. They were never truly strong. They only seemed strong when you still allowed them to control your emotions. But once you're no longer afraid to lose them, once you no longer need them, once you no longer even think about them, they're the ones who lose everything. And you know what the most powerful part is? You don't have to do anything. No revenge. No harsh words. No need to prove how happy you are. You just need to live in peace. That peace, the one you had to fight for, cry for, and break down to build, is something they will never be able to touch. Because you've stepped out of the cycle. Because you've healed from the inside out. Because you no longer need anyone to validate your worth. And because you have reclaimed ownership of your life. In the end, what you need to understand isn't about their behavior, It's about your response. A narcissist may use silence like a knife, sweet words like a trap, and disguise their inner emptiness behind 100 different masks. But none of it works unless you're still affected by it.
When you're the one always texting first, always coming back, always trying to understand them, you're handing over control of your emotional life. But when you choose not to respond, when you choose to hold your boundaries, when you choose silence not out of hatred, but out of self-respect, you're sending the strongest message possible. I've taken back control of my life. They may never admit your strength. They may continue playing the victim. They may rewrite the story to paint you as the one who abandoned them. But the truth is, you've awakened, and they know it. You're no longer begging. You're no longer explaining. You're no longer trying to convince anyone of your worth. Because you see it now, and you've chosen yourself. Always remember, not texting doesn't mean you don't love. Not going back doesn't mean you're cold. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've outgrown the pain. You are no longer someone defined by the wound. You are someone who continues to live with a whole heart, an awakened mind, and a future no longer shaped by those who never truly knew how to love. If you've ever been stuck in this cycle and you're now learning how to break free, leave a comment below and share what you've learned on your healing journey. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell because more videos like this are coming to help you heal, grow, and reclaim your power stronger than ever before. You deserve a love you don't have to beg for. You deserve peace that doesn't require sacrificing yourself. And you deserve freedom, both emotional and spiritual.